Alex, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio, Season 4. First guest, how you doing today?
I'm good, Peter. How are you, man? It's
I'm
been a
good.
while. And nice to see you. Nice to talk to you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. And Alex, you work for TTC, Toronto Transit Commission, I believe it's the name, the acronym.
I do. I do.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that today. We're going to get the ins and outs of the TTC, but we're going to be easy and we're not going to violate any rules or anything at the TTC,
I
but
wouldn't do that. All
yeah,
right.
but you share what you could share. But Alex, before we start, I know you're a big sports fan, as you can, the people can see behind you with all the jerseys and you're wearing the Kobe shirt. First question I want to ask you, because, Zubair, Greg, and there's a bunch of other people that we know growing up. The Lakers are, is their best team. Is that your favorite basketball team?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, by far.
Lakers.
Yes.
And it is okay. And the one question I want to ask you, all time, does it? Oh my God! He showed the tat. He's
Yeah.
got the tat. Where'd you get
Yeah.
that tat?
When I was 18, I believe, 19 years old.
Okay, you wanna share your age now?
Okay. I'm 48 right now.
48. Oh, we're the same age.
Yes, we
Well,
are.
but you just turned recently, then, right?
I turned in March 48.
Yeah, I'm turning in 49 in November. Okay, Alex. And the other question I want to ask you is, of all time, who is your top player in the NBA?
All time?
All time.
It's a tough question because Magic started it all off for me.
Mhm.
I love Kobe, but I'm going to have to go Shaq. Shaquille O'Neal, he brought the most joy for me. Like, I just love watching him play. Thought he
Yeah.
was just a dominant animal, and I just love watching him play. And you know, he was my favorite. Shout out to Magic, Worthy. I love Worthy too. So
Yeah.
it's a tough question to
It's
answer.
tough.
Like, tough, very tough. He's not a Laker right now, but Luka Doncic is my favorite player right
Oh,
now.
he's a beast. Yeah.
I think he's going to finish top 5 all time by the time his career is said and done. I love Giannis, but
Mhm.
my favorite player is Shaq, hands
Okay.
down. I love Shaquille.
Nice. Nice.
Only Laker Shaquille.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Not Miami Shaquille, not Boston, not Cleveland, not Orlando. Laker
Orlando Magic.
Shaquille is my favorite. Yeah, Laker
Yeah.
Shaquille.
Cool, man. And who do you think's gonna win? So, as you know, my cousin's team's in the finals.
Yeah, I know.
Who's your pick? So let me just say the date. So it's June 12th, 2022. Who's your pick? Golden State or Celtics?
Well, have you seen the series Winning Time by any chance?
No.
There's one chant in there. It's F Boston. I'm not going to say the swear word, but F
Okay.
Boston. So I'm not a big fan of Golden State, but I'm cheering for Wiggins because my brother coached them,
Yeah.
and I can't cheer for Boston.
Yeah.
Even though I like Tatum, but I can't cheer for Boston. So I'm gonna stick with Golden State. That's who I picked to win prior, and I'm gonna go with them. I think Boston's a better team
Yeah.
overall, but I'm gonna go with Golden State.
All right. We'll see. And yeah, you shout out your brother, had him on season 3, Gus Gymnopoulos. So big up to Gus as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Alex, I know where you were, born and raised, but let the people know your stomping grounds, man. Where'd you go to high school and what area?
Well, I was born in the Vic Park, York Mills area on the North York side of Victoria Park. The Scarborough side was just the east side of Vic Park. I went to Victoria Park High School. I grew up in the Roywood area, played ball there, skated there, played tennis there. It was just that, the good old days back in that area. Vic Park, York Mills, Fenside area,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
A lot of fun. And I got to tell the people I met you because when we went to Donview Junior High, and our Donview went up to grade 9. So most high schools junior highs go up to grade 8, then you start high school in grade 9. But in my grade 9, I got stuck in a grade 8 gym class because something went wrong with the timetables. But I'm glad that it happened because I met a lot of people and you were one of them. And I remember we used to have a lot of fun playing ball because, I got the vertical and,
Oh, yeah.
but let the people know how tall you are too, man, because we had a lot of fun there.
Well, I'm 6'4" and I had no vertical,
Yeah.
so you got up just as high as I did. But, that was when I went to Donview with you. I think you went to school. I think you're one grade up on me, even though we're
Yes.
the same age. I only went to Donview grade 7 and 8. I went to high school grade 9. So
Oh,
I think it changed maybe that year that we were there together.
Yeah. So
But
you went to Vic Park then?
I went to Vic Park grade 9, right through the OAC.
Mhm.
Donview, I was there for 2 years. Donview was, it was fun. My school years weren't the greatest memories for me, but
Yeah. And when you say that, how were you in school when what I mean by that is grades, and then did you play sports in school too?
Grades, I was like I wasn't the best student. I didn't try hard. I was a little bit lazy. I had other things in my mind. I would say, now looking back, sports I didn't play in Donview really. I started really playing all the sports when I went to high school.
Yeah.
I played, my parents were always working, so they never put me in any sports really. That's how European parents came over here, and they worked. And, me and my brother, my sister, we just grew up playing ourselves.
Yeah.
So I learned everything on my own, mostly through high school, playing with you guys. You guys were, you and everyone I met, we all know the same people.
Yeah.
That was fantastic basketball teams. I played a lot of basketball. Best part of school for me was definitely the sports. I played on a high school basketball team. I played baseball one season. I did track. I did tennis. I did, football. I remember.
You did football.
Yeah, I did. I played football. So those are the good times for me. The sports really got me through school. In terms of that way, I love playing sports. I love watching them. Love playing them.
Yeah, myself too. Yeah.
I golf now a lot. So
yeah.
A lot of fun.
So Alex, after school, so as we know, I tried to interview you last season and we had little technical difficulties.
We did.
You have a lot of interesting stories, man. So after high school, I want to get into the entrepreneurship, but what came first? Because I want to get into Demetres. But after high school, did you go to college or university, or what direction did you go to before the
I went to college. I got a diploma or whatever it was in advertising marketing. I did 3 years there. I didn't use it for anything. I worked at an ad agency for like 6 months, maybe, I believe, and I found it wasn't for me. Okay. I left. I went and worked for my buddy who opened up a cafe. I was a server there for a year, maybe. Then I took off, went to Greece, and when I came back, opportunity presented itself for me to buy a cafe, Cafe Demetres.
Yeah.
And I got into that business, and I was there for 10 years. I ran that cafe on Danforth. Me and my partner, Semi.
Yeah.
And it was a great time, loved it. Was there 10 years. Then I opened the Chinese buffet with another friend of mine that lasted 2 years.
Wait, before we get into the Chinese buffet, because I already know about that one too. But Demetres, how was that experience? So being the manager, having employees, dealing with shipments of product and all that stuff. Like, how did you learn that? On the job?
I learned it on the job because I knew nothing about running a business. Well, my partner at the time, we're still good friends. My partner at the time, he was in the business. He owned that cafe for 7 years prior to me buying it. So he had partners.
Femi
had part.
And
you know all of them. You know his partners, George.
Yeah, bring it in. So let's drop some names. So that's what I've heard first. When we were like out of high school or something, I heard Dino and George Kilomedes bought Demetres.
Dino, George Kilomedes bought Demetres with Femi. Okay. And they had another partner, Jim. I don't believe you know Jim, but they had another partner, Jim. And then Jim, that partner, had left. Dino and George wanted to leave because they had other opportunities they wanted to pursue. And I was looking actually to buy a Whitby Demetres. Okay. I went out to Whitby to look at one of the franchises there. And then, Femi, who I've known since kindergarten, he told me, come check this place out. And I went over to Demetres, and bing, bang, boom, I bought into that store. I bought it off George and Dino. They moved on. And me and Femi had the cafe for 10 years together. It
Yeah.
was a lot of fun, a lot of stress.
Wow.
I learned everything on the fly because I never ran a business before.
Yeah.
I had to deal with payroll and staff and
Wow.
ordering product. And, it was an ice cream cafe. So we didn't have, you know, there was no spoilage of food. We made our own ice cream. I spent hours and hours and years making ice cream. And,
Yeah.
I learned how to make desserts on the fly and coffees on the fly. And then I had to serve and I had to manage and I had to be a counter. And, me and Tammy did all that together. Taste of the Danforth. We went through many successful Taste of the Danforths,
Oh, yes.
which is much different now, Taste of the Danforth, than it was when I had it. When I had it, it was very chaotic and zoo. It's still chaotic and zoo, but it's not the same for Demetres. I'm speaking for Demetres. Like we had a lineup for 3 days.
Wow.
We had a lineup. I would say we had maybe the first, second biggest lineup on the whole Taste of Danforth. They never stopped.
So
Flipping.
the outside looking in, Demetres seemed very profitable. Am I right in saying that at the time?
It was profitable. It was also, I bought in when they had just, it was very profitable. I bought in when they just banned smoking from all restaurants and cafes. And they remember back in 2002, they had just banned all smoking in malls. Remember we used to smoke in Fairview Mall, remember?
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah.
So they banned. So the first few years was very slow because Demetres was a big after crowd. After club crowd, late night crowd, they'd all come in, drink their coffees with cigarettes. And, we lost all that when I bought in.
Yeah.
So for the first couple of years, it was a little slow. Then it picked up. And let me tell you, like coffees and ice cream, you can't really raise the price too much on them. But my rent, my franchise fees, product fee, everything went up in price. So my business kind of stayed the same. Everything kept on going up. That's why eventually I left that business because, I had 3 kids and I needed something a little more steady and had to move on.
Yeah. And I want to work that in too. So you were building your family at the time too. So you have 3 kids at the moment, right? 3 kids now.
Yes.
But how old were they at the time? Because you were spending a lot of hours, at work, I believe. And how did you balance that?
I spent a lot of hours at work. So my first son was born 2008. So I bought Demetres 2002.
Okay.
2008, my first son was born. So none of my kids really remember Demetres. They don't remember any of my ride. In 2009, I bought a Chinese buffet.
Yeah.
Also, so I was there, all the time. Between Demetres and the Chinese restaurant. I was there all the time. My wife took care of the kids a lot.
Yeah.
For me, she was a big help. My daughter came 2010. My last guy came 2012. 2012, I was out of the restaurant business altogether. So, my kids know me most for TTC, working for them.
Yeah. Okay. So after Demetres, I believe came Woo, right?
Yes.
And where was that located?
Woo was at Yonge and Dundas.
Heart of downtown.
Yeah. And rent was very expensive. That's one reason I'm not there anymore. It was a very busy restaurant. We actually turned into a nightclub after the restaurant.
Yeah.
And we were pretty busy. It was very busy, but rent was very high. And eventually it got to us and I had to get out of that business, as well.
But how was that experience? So you were,
it was a great experience.
It was great because we were born and raised in Toronto, and we always go downtown, Eaton Center, and then you own a restaurant / nightclub now. It was, I believe, right at Yonge and Dundas. So, and then people, that's how I found out. Like friends of friends told me, Alex owns Woo downtown. But tell me a little bit more about it though.
Well, I had another good friend, Wayne, whose family owned a big Chinese buffet up at Steeles in Midland area.
Yeah.
So I've been going to that buffet for years with my family, and it was great buffet, a lot of good food. It was packed all the time. And then they decided to open one up downtown. They asked me to invest, at the same time I had Demetres. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. I took a risk, invested in that. And it was a great experience. I met a lot of great people, like my staff. I'll never forget any of my staff. It was a 7,500 square foot restaurant. Wow. So I had a lot of staff. I remember them all. Great to work with. I ate a lot back then.
Yeah.
The club, it was just very chaotic time. It was 2 years of that. And it was very chaotic time, but it was a great experience.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it, never change it.
Is that sorry, when what year was this? Because the club scene in Toronto has always been hot, but there were certain years, man, like the early 2000s where the club scene was crazy. Is that around when was that time?
We're young in Dundas. The club started to move more out west.
Okay.
They're always in that Richmond,
Peter,
John Street area. They were always there, and then they slowly started to move west. And so we were not in a club district, young in Dundas.
No,
we turned into a club just to bring in more profit. We had a couple of people. We had a really beautiful place. We had a couple of promoters come up to us, approach us. They said, "Do you ever think about doing we would like to throw a party here." We did one party. It was pure hectic. We had no idea what we were doing. But it was packed, and we made good coin, and we're like, man, let's do this again. And we never planned to do a club. We were a buffet.
Yeah.
And but we learned that on the job. And within a few weeks, we were like full blown nightclub after we closed down. And we had we had good promoters, and they packed the place up for us. And it was a good experience.
Anybody famous stop by there when you were?
Drake came a few times.
Oh, Drake came a few times.
Yeah, Drake came a few times. One of my promoters, his name was Carlos. He had some
Carlos Promo, right?
Carlo Promo. He did our Saturday nights. He brought a few NBA legends by.
Yeah.
He's good friends with Shaq.
Wait, Shaq, right?
He never brought Shaq. We asked him to bring, he knew I love Shaq.
Yeah.
And but he brought Rick Mahorn, some older NBA players. He's good friends with a lot of them. So he brought a couple by, but Drake was the most famous for sure that came by. He came by a couple times. But it was good. I can't think of anyone else really. I'm sure we had some UFC guys, Michael Goldberg came by. Rogan, I believe, was downstairs. He never came up.
Joe Rogan?
We had Rashad Evans. We had we had a few UFC fighters come in. Yeah. Because we used to show it. Also on UFC nights, we would show it before the club night.
Okay.
And they come up and they eat buffet. It was good. Good times.
Nice. Yo, so you seem like a go-getter. You take risks. So you said you had to get out of the restaurant business, Demetres, Woo. So now, how did the TTC come about?
As soon as I Demetres and Woo both, I closed them down basically the same time. Like I was out of that business basically at the end of 2011.
Yeah.
Woo cost me. Because Woo cost me a pretty penny. So I was kind of, I needed a job. TTC was hiring. I had actually applied TTC when I was 22 years old, 23, something like that. And they called me and I didn't take the job because like I said, I went to Greece. I wanted to, went to Greece that time. I got the job. So I kind of put TTC aside. Then when I came back, I kind of got into Demetres, and then I applied again for it. As soon as Woo and Demetres, I was out of that business. And TTC called me within a month.
Yeah.
And I went through that process pretty quick, actually, to tell you the truth. Some people wait years.
Yeah.
So January 28th, 2012, I applied, and I had started April 30th, 2012.
Okay.
So I went through the process pretty quick.
So that's 10 years now.
Someone was watching me up above because I needed a job pretty badly at that time. And I got it very quickly. So I was like, fortunate for that.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's get into it too. So, because I know a lot of people are trying to get into the TTC. It's one of those jobs where people say, yep, it's great pension when you retire, hospitals, government, TTC. Yeah. But what was the training like? Because I always wonder what the training like is when you finally get in.
Well, when they call you, they're going to put you in a bus, in a streetcar, or in the subway.
Okay.
So they called me. I was driving a school bus at the time because I was told, go drive a school bus, put it on your resume. It'll help for TTC.
Yeah.
So I was driving a school bus at the time, just for something to do. They called me. They said, you're going to do streetcar. I said, all right, well, I have to give my school bus job 2 weeks notice.
Right.
They respected that. They're like, no problem. They called me back. They're like, okay, we're going to put you in bus now. So they put me in bus to the division closest to my house, Birchmount division. There's a few divisions in the TTC. All divisions have different routes assigned to them. They put me in Birchmount. I've been in Birchmount since I started. And, the training was 6 weeks of bus training.
Okay.
Subway streetcar a little longer. It's very intense training just for the fact that they make it intense for you. In reality, it's not difficult.
Okay.
Driving a bus for me is like driving a car. I believe to be a great driver, and training was good. Just mentally stressful. That's because they want you to pass. They always tell you don't fail. So they make it more stressful than it really is. It's not really that hard.
Okay. You were telling me something in our last interview, and I wanted to make sure to cover it. I don't know what it was though. Something about the air brakes or brakes, something.
That's the most important. That was the hardest part. It's an air brake test that they put you through.
Okay.
So you practice it every day. So the whole 6 weeks, you start off with air brakes. You got to inspect the bus. So you got to go through an inspection of the bus prior to taking it out of the yard. And air brakes, is the most stressful part of the passing. Because there's 7 air brake tests. You got to remember them. You got to stand up in front of TTC instructors and teachers, like 6 or 7 of them, and you got to do the air brake test in front of all these people. In a room. It's just you and them, and they're testing you on the air brakes. And that was the most stressful part. But you do it every day. So by the end of the 6 weeks, you pretty much know it. Ask me to do it now. I may not remember it.
Yeah.
I do it quickly, man. You can axe that out of this interview. Actually, I shouldn't be saying that stuff. Okay. I'm kidding. I do my air brake test. Wink, wink. We're good.
Okay, so I always hear about seniority too?
Yes.
So when does seniority start, man? Because there's been people here like 10, 20 years, and you got the 30 years. But when does seniority start? Where I don't even know if I'm saying the right thing. Like you can pick your own route or hours. Because one thing I wanted to get into is the hours. That overnight stuff, I don't know if I could even do that, but let me know.
It starts right away, seniority. So you can pick your route and hours. Now, there's not many left for you to pick when you're at the bottom of the list. There's maybe a few routes you can pick, and they're most likely night bus or,
Yeah.
I did night bus or late relief. So late relief is considered 5, 6 p.m. to like 2, 3 p.m. in the morning. 4 to 1, 5 to 2, 6 to 3. That's late relief. And then overnight is like 8, 9, 10 until like 6, 7 in the morning. So for my first 4 years, I did late relief or night bus. And I was always a night working guy because I was in the restaurant business. So that didn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
But my kids started getting older, and the part that bothered me was I had to switch to days. And days in the TTC isn't regular 9 to 5. It's 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Until what the most premium shift in the TTC is called a regular. It's the hardest shift to get is a regular with weekends off. So 5 a.m. till 1 p.m. with weekends off.
Yeah.
Right now I can get weekends off, but if I want weekends off, I have to work a 5 p.m. till 5 a.m. till 5 p.m. with a 3-4 hour split.
Yeah.
If I want weekends off. So I do weekends off. My shift currently is, I start at 5:15 and I finish at 4:30, and I have a 2.5 hour split in between. So it's a long day. If I can do a regular, but I won't get weekends off. I won't get those days off. I want Thursday, Friday off, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, any other day off, but Saturday, Sunday, I can get pretty good hours, 5 to 1, 6 to 2, something. I'll never get used to waking up at 4 in the morning, but I do it. I hate it. I do it.
Yeah. Going back to even applying for it, do you have any advice for anyone applying for it? Because I hear all the things where, if you know someone, so a reference, put their name down when you apply online. Do you have any advice for anyone that wants to apply for TTC? Because some people say just keep applying, like every 6 months. I don't know how long they hold, your resume online. And I don't know the process that they go through to weed out or vet the people. But any advice for someone applying for TTC?
Well, from what I understand is that knowing someone doesn't help you at all. Everything goes through an outside hiring agency.
Yeah.
So knowing someone doesn't really help from what I understand. I've never tried. I know people that applied and 3 years later they got a call back. I know people that applied and they got a call back within the first few months. So I don't know the process, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what they look for. When I applied, I was told they look for customer service and driving experience.
Okay.
So I had both. I had driven a school bus and I had restaurants, so I had the customer service experience, and that worked for me. Now I don't even think they care if you have driving experience. TTC is all about customer service. TTC is all about pleasing the customer.
Yeah.
Even though, we won't get into that, but they're all about that. They're the people that were hired 10 years ago when I applied, it's just whoever got in. I couldn't really tell you. The advice I have for you is, if you do get a call, you have to listen to everything TTC says. Okay. So they really look for whether you listen to them, whether the steps they give you, you do them. They want to tell you to do this, and you got to do this and this and this. You got to do all that. They want, if you don't listen to them. So when I went to the hotel, the first thing, you have a test in front of you. They put us 150 people in the hotel. They put a test in front of you. The lady stands up there, the human resources person that was there. She says, listen to me. Don't turn over this test until I tell you to. Some people would open the test and look at it, and they would not get hired. They'd be kicked out of that room right away. So it's all about listening to them, and they want to see if you follow instructions.
Yeah. I get it.
And when you're driving the bus, you're responsible for a lot of people. So, you have to be a good driver. You have to, the most important thing for them is customer safety.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't even care for fare. I don't look at fare. I don't ask for fare. It's all about me driving the bus safely now.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I want to get into that you dropped now about the fare. But first, and about, some incidents, some good news stories, and some horror stories, if any, that you can say. But at the fair, someone told me that if someone didn't have fare, you have to let them on. Is this true?
You have to inform them of where they can pay and how they pay, but I let them on.
Okay.
I let everyone on. The only people I don't let on, like I'll let everyone on. Now, if someone was rude to me, if someone, lights a cigarette up in the bus, if someone does something they're not supposed to be doing, I have every right to stop the bus and not move it, and, call one of my supervisors to come and, get them off the bus, or I won't move it. Like I can stop the bus and not let you on if you're very rude to me. I don't have to take anything, but I also, really, I can't put the bus out of service if someone doesn't pay. I'm not allowed to stop service, because I would say 90% of the people pay and they're good customers. So I have to get them to work or wherever they're going.
Right.
I can't stop the bus for one, person that doesn't want to pay and put everyone else,
Makes sense. And I haven't taken the bus in years, but
good.
I heard that you had to use a Presto card. Can you still pay with change and stuff?
You can still pay with change. They were looking at getting rid of tokens, tickets, change.
Yeah.
I remember last year or the year before at some point. Obviously, COVID put a big wrench in a lot of those plans, but they had switched over to Presto, which is a pay as you go card.
Okay.
Now, most people, I'd say, pay with that, but you can still pay with change. If you have any tokens or tickets left, they're not in production anymore, but if you have them left, you can use them, but most people pay with Presto now.
Okay. And when we talk about the actual bus now, so you've been there for the evolution of the transformation of how the bus is designed. So what I'm saying is, it was diesel, gas, and now are all buses green, or are we getting there where they
We're
have
getting
green?
there. There's a lot of hybrid buses now. Most of them are green. We still have the big diesel ones here and there, but they're switching. They just switched. You'll see new streetcars on the road. they're getting rid of the old ones, but they're all the vehicles are still around, but TTC is going all green for sure.
Okay.
They're moving that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I want to say about Presto is if you buy a Presto, because people don't know this a lot, and a lot of people don't know this, once you tap it and you pay, then you have a 2-hour transfer window. So you can tap it as many times as you want. You won't get charged. A lot of people ask me that, can I get a transfer?
Yeah.
We still give out those transfers, but there's a 2-hour transfer on a Presto. So just so you know that if you ever want to take a bus.
Dropping gems, man. You told me you had a lot of gems for people last time we talked. I don't even know if we can get them all in.
Well, we can try,
We can try. Okay. Now, you did share a good news story because, TTC was getting a lot of flack. Throughout my years, I heard, bad things about the TTC and stuff, but there are some good news stories. Can you share that story again that you shared with me about something that was found on? Tell me about that story, man.
Well, it was in the, you can Google it yourself. One of the, anyone can Google it and research it too. But basically what happened was a guy came on the bus and he had $50,000 with him in like a brown paper bag, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was from his mother who had passed on and she left him the money. Yeah. And he brought her on the bus with him. And I guess he forgot it. And the driver I work with found it, returned it to the guy. And, TTC, drivers get they do a lot of kind things. You just don't hear about them, Most drivers are really good. TTC is a bad rep for everyone. Like TTC gets a bad rep sometimes. The drivers, the driver union gets a bad rep. Customers get a bad rep, but it's all, a lot of self-inflicted wounds for everyone. I'm trying to find out how to explain this, but like rules have changed in TTC so many times. Back in the day, drivers were told collect fare, and now we're told not to collect fare. So the older drivers grew up collecting fare. So for them to transition to not collecting fare, it frustrated them, because also when it came time to our, our contract, let's say TTC, we don't make enough money to give you a raise. Well, you don't let us collect fare. So what do you mean? It's not our fault that, you don't collect fare and now you can't pay us a raise. And, it just goes back and forth. And customers tend to blame the driver. We're late. Like, we're late. Where were you? Like, I just do my schedule. I look at my paper in the morning. I'm supposed to be here, here, here. I do my best to be on those times. I don't sit to have coffee. If someone doesn't show up, if a bus doesn't show up, the bus that's supposed to be in front of me doesn't show up, and now I'm carrying his people and my people. And I'm packed, and then I have to leave some people on the street, and then frustrations all around. These things happen, and they continue to happen, and I think they're always going to happen. And if you're going to take TTC, you have to be prepared for delays. You're going to be prepared for a lot of things that
So that's another thing, though, Alex. I forgot when it happened, like when they started posting the time schedule, and they're pretty accurate when I think of it. But tell me about that, because last time you were saying to me, there is the route, the time you have to be at a stop, and because some people are running for a bus. I was saying last time.
Yes.
And it's like the guy or whoever, the driver doesn't stop. And you're like, wow, that's mean. Let me know the insight on that, why you can't wait for that person or something.
Well, in a perfect world, the bus is supposed to meet like a north-south bus is supposed to meet an east-west bus at certain corner, So they're supposed to kind of, in a perfect world, that's how the TTC set it up, where, subways are supposed to unload their passengers, and they're supposed to walk up the stairs, and there's the streetcar. Streetcar take them somewhere. Oh, there's the bus. But it doesn't work that way because it's almost impossible with so many vehicles and people. So, but we don't get scheduled 15-minute breaks, or we don't get a scheduled lunch break. Now, depending on the shift you get, like I said, there's split shifts. So you'll work 4 hours straight in the morning, and then you'll have your 4 hours break, and then you'll go back and work another 4 hours. So, a regular shift, which is a 5 to 1, a regular 8-hour shift, those drivers, or night bus or late relief, they're all straight shifts, straight 8 to 10 hour shifts, depending on, because you can pick your length of shift too. That's one of
Oh.
the, you can pick your route, you can pick your pay. Each shift pays different.
Oh,
You
I
can pick
didn't know
your,
that.
yeah. Some shifts pay like
Like the premium for the night, you mean like that?
there's
Or
well there's premium for night, but there's night buses that pay straight 8 hours, and then
okay.
there's night buses that pay 10 hours a shift.
Oh, okay.
So depending how long you want to work,
Hmm.
there's all kinds of different. It's actually a benefit for me, this type of thing, because I have 3 kids, and
Yeah.
my whole schedule that I pick is rotated around them.
Yeah.
I don't pick schedules for myself. If I picked a schedule for myself, I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing. I do
Yeah.
my work just to rotate around my kid's schedule.
Hmm.
So you can pick hours, you can pick your days off, you can pick the route you want to do, you know.
Hmm.
And what we were saying is that, so we don't get scheduled lunch breaks or scheduled breaks.
Hmm.
So if you're on a shift, a late relief shift, I'll say, which is a 5 p.m. till 2 a.m. in the morning, that's
Yeah.
a straight shift. You don't
Hmm.
get breaks.
Hmm.
So you got to make your own breaks a
Hmm.
little bit.
Okay.
The TTC doesn't want you running, if you have to be somewhere at this time
Hmm.
and you're 5 minutes ahead of that schedule, and you're not there, you're
Yeah.
missing some people.
Okay.
But some people do it because they got to go to the washroom, or they want to eat something quickly, or they
Yeah.
want to. So, we drive, we try to, if you're leaving someone, there's a good chance you have a reason for leaving someone. It means there's
Okay.
another bus a minute behind you,
Yeah.
and, you have to go. Because if you don't go, you're going to miss the washroom, or
Yeah.
you really have to go to the washroom, or you really got to eat. You're getting dizzy. You haven't had a sip of water. You haven't had a coffee. So there's reasons why drivers do stuff. Now, I'm going to say there are some drivers that just don't care,
Yeah.
and they do whatever they want.
Hmm.
Very rare. There's not many of them left.
Hmm.
I would say most drivers are good
Yeah.
these days,
Hmm.
but there is the occasional bad apple that, he just doesn't care about the people. He only cares about his schedule and this and that.
Hmm.
If you're running for my bus, I'm going to stop all the time for you.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're
Hmm.
walking, I'm going to look at you like, I'm not a cab. I'm not going to sit and wait for you. I have places to go. I really
Yeah.
have to go to the washroom. Don't walk to my bus. I'm going to go. I'm sorry, I'm leaving you. I can't wait for you to walk to my bus.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of factors that play into why people do what they do
Do
on
what
the
they
bus.
do.
Yeah.
Okay. And speaking of that, so when my mom worked at Women's College Hospital way back in the days, our back gate, Victoria Park, Ellesmere area, the bus stop was after the light, but
Mhm.
he was always kind enough to drop my mom right at our gate so she didn't have to walk across the street at night, because she comes home 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Can they do that when it comes to safety, especially, for women and things like that, vulnerable people, kids? Do they do that?
Yeah, they
Can you
could
do
do that. No problem. We can do anything almost if it's safe to do.
that? Hmm.
Like, we won't open the door if there's a lane beside us. If we're in the left lane, say, which is rare, we're making a left
Yeah.
somewhere, and then someone says, "Can I get out here?" I won't let you go. You're not getting out on an open lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I'm at the curb somewhere and someone says, "Can I get out here?" I'll let them out, as
Hmm.
long as I can do it safely. If I could do something safely, I will do it.
Yeah.
Thing with a TTC is, if I stop somewhere, there's a lot of people in the bus world. I can only speak for bus world. I can't speak for streetcar, but there's a lot
Mhm.
of people in bus world that, they like to sue the TTC.
Yeah.
A lot of people, more people than sue the
Oh.
TTC.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so someone says, "Let me out here, please." And then they'll get out and, like, trip off the bus.
Yeah.
And then the TTC will call in and say, "Why did you let this person out here? This is not a stop."
Mhm.
Now they're suing us.
Yeah.
And so now drivers, if that happened, it hasn't happened to me, but I know people that it's happened to,
Yeah.
and those people will never stop somewhere they're not supposed to stop anymore, just because they got in
Yeah.
trouble for doing it.
Yeah. I get it.
And that happens a lot. There's drivers, they won't do stuff just because they don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
you know so if you ask me to do something, I'm going to assess it quickly in my mind. Can I do it? And if I can do it, I'll do it for you. If I can't do it, I can't do it to you. Sorry, but there's a reason I can't do it for you, because it's not because I don't want to do it. It's just because I can't do it.
Yeah,
you
that
know.
makes sense. That makes sense. And I now this kind of leads into like some of the dangers or the bad things that happen because I could just assume you get, well, you're a big guy, so I don't know if you get cussed out, but some
I
people
do.
get cussed out because you don't do what they want to do. But
Yes.
tell me about some of the things you have to be cautious of on the bus because we're dealing with a lot of mental health too in this society. So I can't imagine some of the people that hop on the bus. So touch on that a
Well,
little bit.
I drive my main route for the last little while is I drive Queen Street a lot. So,
Mm-hmm.
Queen Street's a streetcar route, but it has replacement buses on there because they're always doing track repair. So I'm on Queen Street a lot. So I deal with a lot of,
Yeah.
I drive by CAMH Hospital daily, and I see a lot of people with mental health issues, and they do get on my bus. For the most part, they get on, they get off pretty
Yeah.
quietly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I'm a little bigger in the seat. I sit up as high as I can. I want to pay attention to everything. People don't, in general, harass me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't have. I'm not smile. I don't smile. So
Yeah.
I just don't get harassed a lot. But I do work with smaller gentlemen. I work with females who do get harassed a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People pick on drivers depending on who they are more
Right.
than
Mm-hmm.
I've I can't even I may have had one or two problems in my 10 years, but it was nothing major for me. But I do know operators have gotten beaten the hell out of. I know they've gotten spit on. I know,
Mm-hmm.
it they just get attacked.
Yeah.
We just, because of COVID, we just got a shield,
Yeah. The
covering
shield.
our door. We never had one. So my first, prior to COVID, I never had a shield. It was just wide open. Anyone can reach over and touch me if they wanted to.
Right.
But we just got a shield, which
Mm-hmm.
is somewhat helpful, I guess. People like it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like it.
Oh, you don't like it?
I don't like being
Confined?
I don't like being confined. I'd rather wide open. I'd rather interact with a customer because it's hard to hear too. I get a glare sometimes from the shield. It's just it annoys me. Some people like it. I don't like it. I'd
Yeah.
rather interact. I'm not worried about anyone trying to attack me or spit at me. I don't do anything to get attacked or
Provoke
spit
that.
on.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty respectful of all the customers. I know they got to be somewhere. I have a job to drive them, so that's what I try to do.
Mm-hmm.
I try my best to please customers. They can annoy the hell out of me, but I'll still help you out. Like,
Yeah.
there are bad seeds, but they're bad drivers. It's just got to deal with every day.
Yeah. So
All these things.
what is the worst thing that you've seen happen on a bus you were driving? Like fights in the bus or anything? Because I'm sure people don't get along, especially in COVID, man. Like people don't want them to come near them.
COVID was it was a stressful time. People would, up until this day, they just dropped the mask mandate on Saturday. So
Yeah.
when I go into work Monday, I'm not a mask person. I despise wearing it. So I'm going to actually not wear it for the first time. I'm very happy I don't have to wear it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on Monday. You can choose to wear it if you want, or you don't have to wear it if you want. But during the 2 years, basically,
Mm-hmm.
there was a couple of scraps on my bus for not the mask thing. I've had a few vape incidents on my bus. Some fights. Then I've really had I've had one fight on my bus over a vape. I remember I waved down a police officer, came to my bus, took care of that.
Yeah.
One time a guy was on his bike in my bus stop on the road. So I thought he wanted my bus. I pulled up pretty close to him. He got pissed off that I pulled up close to him. I'm like, sorry, man, I thought you wanted my bike rack. You were standing right in my stop.
Yeah.
He refused to move his bike, and I couldn't move my bus and I was packed. I was packed. It was a night bus. I remember I pulled up right close to his bumper. I thought he wanted my bus. He didn't want my bus. Then the people on the bus started getting frustrated because he wouldn't move his bike. One guy came off the bus, took his bike.
This story. Yeah.
He threw it into a store window there, broke the store window. Then they started to scrap on my bus. And then the guy that threw the bike jumped back on my bus. He's like, get out of here. Then the guy ran around to my window. He tried to grab me. And I just closed my window and I called emergency, and police came, and by that time the guy grabbed his bike, took off. So nothing really, but I haven't had anything, but I've heard a lot of stories, other drivers, TTC drivers, we love to tell our stories to each other.
Yeah.
Because we understand them.
You understand.
We
Yeah.
understand them. Sorry, let me just.
No worries. No worries.
So if you ever in between two drivers somewhere,
Yeah.
they'll dominate their conversation with TTC stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
man.
I haven't had any dangerous situations for myself. But I know people that have, gotten spit on, punched, Well, I have a really good buddy who he got spit on. He got out of his seat, grabbed the guy, kind of gave him a few shots, and then he got suspended for 2 weeks for doing that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that because
we're not allowed to get out of our seat.
Yeah, you can't get out of the seat, and
So
even assault the passenger, right?
We have to take the assault.
Yeah,
and we just have to take it. We're not allowed to give it back, which is not fair in my opinion. Like if I get assaulted, I'm going to get suspended. I can tell you right now because I'm not going to sit, and get spit on. But I don't do anything again to put myself in that situation.
Yeah.
So,
when you talked about the bike rack, so buses have changed over the years. Like I said, they're going green, hybrid, like you're saying. They got the bike rack. But what I like too is the accessibility. So I remember the first time I seen the leaning, like the hydraulics, the lowering bus to let people in. So it's kind of cool now that it's accessible for a lot of people. I don't know if it's on the wheelchair accessible right now, but
it has a ramp. Everything right now. So you'll see a lot of stations. You'll see Donland stations, for instance, under construction. Any station that doesn't have wheelchair accessibility, will have it. They said, I believe, by 2024. So Warden stations are going to get torn down. For instance, Warden station doesn't have any wheelchair. There's no elevators, no escalators. You can't get a wheelchair upstairs. You've been to Warden station?
I've been to Warden station, not inside for a long time though.
Well, it's upstairs. So if you're in a wheelchair, you can't get up there.
Oh wow.
So you have to basically take a bus from there to whatever station has wheelchair accessibility if you want to get on the subway. So there's a few stations like that. They're reconstructing whichever station doesn't have it. Buses, streetcars, they're all wheelchair accessible now. Subways they've always been. All the buses have ramps. They all lower. So, they're making it easier. There's wheel trans too.
Yeah.
So wheel trans is it's more of a scheduled process. People, don't want to wait. They'll hop on the bus.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a process, but it happens. Everything's accessible now. All the stations will be, but I think by 2025, I think everywhere will be wheelchair accessible.
Oh man, that's good. That's good though. One thing I wanted to know too, you talked about the guy who left the 50 grand in the paper bag, but I'm sure people leave other things. Do you ever find like the cell phones or someone turn in a cell phone or
all kinds? Really? I find them all. I'll hold on. Like I would hate to lose my cell phone. So when I do find a cell phone, I keep it on me. I look, I can't really hold it. I leave it on the side. I look for it to ring. And if I'm on a break, what I'm supposed to do is supposed to take a cell phone, take it back to my division after I'm done, sign it in. They sign it and they send it down to Lost and Found, which is at the Bay station.
Okay.
And then you're supposed to go to Bay and pick it up.
Oh, okay.
As a customer. But, most drivers, if I find a cell phone, I'll wait. If it rings, I'll pick it up. I'll say, I'm a bus driver. I have your phone. If you want to meet me here, I'll be at this station at this time. And I've had people do that. They bring me cheesecake or thank you for bringing my phone. I really appreciate it, But money, wallets, everything we find, we turn in. Yeah. And it goes to Lost and Found. People forget their bikes on the bike rack.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah. I just had a guy last week. I'm pretty sure it was a pretty expensive bike.
Yeah.
I remember him getting on because he was kind of jacked. I remember him when he got on, he was a big guy.
Yeah.
And he put his bike on the rack and I was looking at the bike and I think it was like a Miele bike. I think they're a little expensive. Maybe those, I could be wrong, but he got off. I saw him get off and then, he left the bike and he started crossing the street and I'm like, what's this guy doing? And I call him, waved him down. He's like, oh, and he came back, got his bike. He goes, thank you so much. Because I couldn't believe I forgot my bike, but it's happened. I've signed in bikes at the end of the night.
That's crazy though. That's you come with you're riding your bike.
It's crazy. Yeah. And you forget it.
Yo, Alex, one thing I want to know too, you drive the bus, but I've heard from when I was a kid about the subway. I don't know if you know about this. So if you don't know, you don't have to answer that. But I heard about the subway jumping all the time. And I heard that if you hear a certain thing when the subway stops, if you hear a code something, that means there's a jumper. Does it happen often, more than I could imagine? Do you know?
It happens much more than you probably could imagine. It
Wow.
happens a lot.
Yeah.
I've been floated around a number. I don't know if it's true. I couldn't tell you if it's true, but I heard it happens, anywhere from 15 to 30 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
Jumpers on the subway, and you'll realize the subway, it stops a lot. There's always a disruption and stoppage on the subway.
Yeah.
If it's a long disruption, it's usually that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's electrical, sometimes it's power. But it happens more often than not. It's sad. It's a sad thing to think about. There's a lot of mental health these days.
Yeah.
And but it's been happening for years.
For years.
Yeah,
and what I don't like, what I've been hearing is, and it's happened before, is the pushing. Like, I always tell people, why would you stand right at the
you
front?
Heard about, it was very big news last week or 2 weeks ago, the pushing. That was the first time in my 10 years that I heard someone get pushed.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of someone being pushed like that before. It was a little shocking to me that actually happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't stand close to, I wouldn't stand close to that. There's that yellow marker. There's a yellow marker there. It's there for a reason. Just stand back, and you won't get pushed. Just don't be a hero. I don't know. Don't go stand there and think you're cool. It's very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Yeah. Yo, this has been amazing. I like this conversation. But Alex, even for season 4, I'm still doing the questions. I don't know if you know this, but I have 2 cards in my hand, right?
Right.
So you're going to answer one of these questions. So do you want me to read out the right or the left?
Well, I golf right, but I putt left. So let's putt left and let's go left.
All right. What is one of the most memorable moments of your life?
Well, when my kids were born, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I adore my children. I'm sure everyone does. Most parents do. Mm-hmm. So it's always going to be a standard. My kids.
Yeah.
Let me. If it wasn't for my kids,
mm-hmm.
it was a Lakers Portland Western Conference Finals in 2000. Mm-hmm. Kobe to Shaq alley-oop. It was like it hyped me up, like, so, because Lakers were down big in that game, and it was game 7 of the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing for me, that moment. I remember that moment. Robert Horry hit a big shot. It was more sports related. I'm trying to think of anything exciting, not sports related or not my family related. I don't know.
No, just I like that related, I like that, because of course kids, and I know you're a big basketball Lakers fan, so you know what I mean. I was expecting that though. So
yeah, I took off work that game. I remember very clearly. I took off of work that mm-hmm. game. I wasn't going to go in, and Lakers were down so big at the halftime, and they were getting killed the whole first half, that I called my boss. I'm like, I'm coming into work because I can't watch this anymore. I was so depressed. I was so, and I was a server at a restaurant, so I went to work, and the game was on TV still, so I was like serving and I was watching, and then Lakers started to make a comeback, and then I told all my tables, guys, I'm sorry, I can't serve you right now. You're gonna have to wait, because we're making a comeback right now, and my mind cannot be on it. Then I went to my boss. I'm like, I can't work right now. I'm sorry. And I sat there amongst everyone else, and I watched the game. And when Kobe hit Shaq with that alley-oop, I kind of just jumped up in the air, and like I freaked out. And it was a good moment for me. I remember that pretty clearly.
Nice.
Best game, my favorite game of all time. That one for sure.
Yeah, I like hearing that. Wait. 2000s. I don't like dating myself, but I have a lot of things on tape, like VHS. I'm sure I can get that on YouTube.
Oh, I go on YouTube. I go on YouTube and watch them. I'll watch anything YouTube related for sure. I've seen that game and clip many times in my life. Yeah.
All right, this has been great. So you're the first interview of season 4. For the first 3 seasons, I've donated to charities that I wanted to donate to.
Yes.
For season 4, what I am doing is donating to a charity a cause, a GoFundMe of my guest choosing. So what is your cause, charity, or GoFundMe, anything you want me to donate to today? And explain why.
Okay, well, I had a good friend who was killed back in 2008. His name is George Katrubis. I'm sure some of your listeners will know him. But we play in a golf tournament every year in honor of George, and George is one of my closest friends. And we donate to sick kids through that tournament. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'd just like to continue on that path. And if you want to donate to sick kids, that'd be great. And, you know, I don't know, I'll throw in a little bit to myself if you want to match a donation.
Sounds good, Alex.
From there.
Sounds good. We'll take that offline. So
yeah,
that's what your brother did as well. So I appreciate that. That was to Claus. She really appreciated the founder of that charity. But yeah, so Star Scorpio's first donation is going to sick kids. I
love kids, so, you know.
Oh yeah, anything for kids and animals. That's me. Yeah. I like to fight for that. Well, Alex, I really appreciate you coming out today. This is
Peter. Can I tell you one thing?
Go ahead.
TTC bus shelters.
Okay, go ahead.
They're not TTC property. You know those shelters. You know the shelters that are beside the. I want to put this out there because if it helps anyone, I'll help anyone. Those shelters are City of Toronto owned. They have nothing to do with TTC. So if the bus stop, which is the red and white pole that you see, it's a red and white pole. That's a TTC bus stop. So the shelter's 20 feet away from that bus stop, and you're waiting in the shelter, and you're not waiting at the pole. Bus drivers will drive right by you. So you better get out of that shelter and run to the pole because too many people wait in the shelter, and too many people get left behind.
Wow.
So shelters are not TTC property. They're City of Toronto property. TTC has nothing to do with them. And I know a lot of people call in and say, "Hey, the bus drove right by me. I was waiting in the shelter." Sorry, it's not our. That's not our stop. Look for the red and white pole.
You hear that, everybody? Look for the pole. And those aren't even shelters. They're decoration. They in wintertime, you don't even have any coverage from the wind or anything.
No. Yeah. Call the City of Toronto and complain about them. That's it. They're not, they're not TTC issue.
All right. This is season 4, episode 1. Alex, thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Yes, we out.
Thanks, buddy.